Hi guys, my name is Olivia. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a stay-at-home mama of 3. I homeschool my 7th grade son and my 3rd grade daughter. I also have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and I post homeschool things, motherhood things. And today I have a video for you about my 7th grade son's curriculum choices for the 2025-2026 school year. 7th grade was kind of a difficult one for me to choose what to do for homeschool. Actually, I again was looking for some more independent companies to choose curriculum for him, as far as it being student-led. And then I come in with kind of discussion and analyzing a little bit more, looking a little deeper into the topics. I struggled for a really long time finding some things. I think we did a good job of figuring it out this year. A little insight into us and our family is we are Christian, and a lot of our curriculum choices reflect that, but I do not solely choose Christian curriculum. I choose things that I think are going to academically make the best impact and are the best choice for each of my kids. A lot of the time that does wind up getting to be a choice that is a faith-based curriculum. There are not only faith-based options here, there are also secular options, and just wanted to give a heads up. Some things are going to be faith-based, some things are going to be secular. I will let you guys know which is which when I get into everything. If you're familiar with any of my past videos at all and the different sorts of curriculum that work best for me and my family and the way that I am teaching my kids, is we try to use a lit-based resource as often as possible, or a literature-based resource as often as possible. This was actually kind of difficult for me to find for my 7th grader this year for a couple of reasons. One, there are a lot of lit-based resources out there that are great. Not all of them are student-led. Like I said, I like to come in for discussion, some analysis, digging deeper into things, and that's going to be reflected in my homeschool choices. Okay, so that being said, what you're going to see mostly for my 7th grader is it is student-led and a lot of lit-based options. So I am going to jump right in. First of all, I'm going to start with history, and I was looking into a couple of different curriculums. We have used Knotgrass in the past for history. Knotgrass is a great option for history. I was also looking at the Moving Beyond the Page options for social studies for their packages. If you're familiar with my channel, we have used Moving Beyond the Page in the past for some different subjects in some different grades, and I really enjoy them. I wanted something a little bit more curated by me this year. So for history, what I wound up going with was the curriculum company called Generations, and this is How Jesus Built His Church. So this starts in BC 250, and it goes through early church history, medieval times, and that's really where I was looking to use it for, is kind of like medieval history along with, it does have a little bit of some modern times in here, but it's not the focus. It follows kind of how Christianity spread and touched the world. And so I have this is the textbook, and this is fully in color. And it's got kind of like magazine paper as the text pages. And then this is the student workbook. And this is all just in black and white. Obviously, this is a Christian-based company. I also emailed them. I wanted to know specifically, do they teach dispensationalism? They said they do not teach that. There's no points of view from that in any of their history. If you're curious, if you're wanting to know. Along with this, I chose some books, some novels. These novels, I'm not expecting him to do anything but read them. They're just meant to be supplementary. This kind of goes like century by century, and where you see Christianity and how it's touched the different parts of the world at this point. And so I kind of wanted to follow that with these choices in these books. So I've got a little bit of Ancient history here. This is the first one I'm having to read. This is Mara, Daughter of the Nile. This is about a slave girl who earns her freedom by becoming a spy, and she gets wrapped up with ancient Egyptian royalty and that sort of thing. So I have this as the first one. The next one is City of the Golden House. This is supposed to be kind of like a first century novel based in Rome. It is not easy to find Roman historical fiction for children, because we all know there was a lot going on back then, and the Romans were doing a lot. So anyway, I searched long and hard for something that was going to work, that was not dry. Actually, I haven't read through this completely, but a lot of the options looked really dry, and some of them had still some things interwoven into the story that I just was not prepared to teach from an academic point of view for my kid. So anyway, a slave and a cripple, a saint and a Roman officer, an emperor and a conspirator, a city on fire. A lame Roman boy and his young British slave discover danger and triumph when they become a part of the underground Christian movement in Nero's decadent Rome. The search for faith and healing in this moving tale intertwined with the larger story of St. Peter's last days in Rome and the fate of Christians in Nero's reign. Obviously, a Christian point of view for this one. Okay, so I also chose the story of Rolf and the Viking bow. So obviously this is ancient Nordic. Yes, this is an Icelandic tale. So there's this one. I also have 1001 Arabian Nights. This is a really fun story if this is not one that you have ever been introduced to or are familiar with. This is a good one. I also have The Kite Rider. This is ancient China. And I have The Royal Kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai Life in Medieval Africa. After that, I have these couple of books. I've got the Magna Carta. I also have, oops, I'm missing one. There's one not here. I also have Morning Star of the Reformation. Okay, this is the one I was looking for. This is The Edge of the Sword by Rebecca Tingle. The Edge on the Sword by Rebecca Tingle. And this is about a 15-year-old girl who is betrothed to an ally of her father. This takes place in the late 1800s, and she is not meek. She wants to be a soldier, a warrior. Enemies attack her land, and that kind of gets wrapped up in that. I also purchased this. This is The World of Columbus and Sons. So it kind of goes through the different like ages of Columbus, what was happening in history during those different ages. So it's essentially everything that was happening then. It doesn't just follow Columbus. It talks about everything that was happening during that time in that part of the world. And then lastly, I have The Witch of Blackbird Pond. That is the history and the supplemental books that I got for my son for his 7th grade year. So I'm not having him do this super regularly. We started this last year and he is just getting through a couple more. He's got like maybe 2 chapters left in this health curriculum. This is Living Healthy, Nutrition, Exercise, and Making Wise Choices. This is through Master Books. Like I said, he's got, I think, about 2 chapters left, and it's right at the very end. So just wrapping this up a little bit, I talk more about this and why I chose this in last year's curriculum choices. So if you're looking for more info and want to see what we did in previous years, this would be in my 6th graders 2024-2025 school year curriculum choices. In my unboxing curriculum video, I mentioned how I only had so many things to show you because this year I was actually choosing to purchase and download a lot of digital options for our curriculum this year. One, so I could kind of control how many hard copied things we have up on the shelf at once or have to store at once. That's getting a little bit out of control. I'm sure a lot of homeschooling families run into the same issue there. 2, oftentimes the online pieces are a tad cheaper, but really it was more about controlling the resources everywhere. So in that video, actually the very first curriculum I opened in that video, if you're only wanting to see that, is the Moving Beyond the Page, which is what I chose for my son for his for his 7th grade science this year. We've used Moving Beyond the Page in the past. Like I said, I have videos that I can link of Moving Beyond the Page down below. You can also hear it being called Beyond the Page now, is kind of how they've changed their name. It's the same thing. So this year I actually purchased the 8th grade only science. I only got science from them this. I did not get the literature, language, arts, nor the social studies components to this. One thing with Moving Beyond the Page with science is it's not just one discipline. You're learning many things. He's going to touch on atoms. He's going to touch on like climate, and there's going to also be different biology and ecology pieces in here. That's one thing that I really like. It's little bits of information to build a foundation, and then when they get older and they can take on deeper details about all of these different disciplines, they can get that. But I know a lot of different curriculums use just one. So you're learning just about astronomy, you're learning just about biology, or learning just about earth sciences. And we use those and have used those for years and years. There's nothing wrong with that. In the 8th grade year, the middle school years, I do really like this and I appreciate this. So if you want to see everything that they are going to learn that they offer for their 8th grade package for science, please go check out that video, because I unbox it and I go through every single one of the booklets that they sent out, as well as the book resources, the hard resources that they send. When you buy the package, you can get the option to use the learning resources and purchase them through there. If not, you can find them on your own if you'd like to. His very first unit is atoms. So these are the books that came for it to help him with atoms. What I did this year, I'm using a binder system this year. I'm not individually coiling or getting a hardcover printed and putting just history and grammar and literature. I'm doing a binder system. So I went to Staples and I had them cut off the spiral. These all come spiral bound from Moving Beyond the Page. You can also choose the option to do just the online portion, or just the online option, and you don't get any hard copy pieces from Moving Beyond the Page if you want to do it online. So you don't have to get that. But anyway, so I cut off the coil and it's in a 3-ring binder, and that's how my son and my daughter's things are organized this year. Moving Beyond the Page is a secular curriculum. All right, I'm moving on to a new to me company this year. I've never purchased from Hearth Story. I was looking for a grammar specific curriculum, because I was not wanting a giant combined curriculum where it taught a little bit of lit and a little bit of grammar. I did not want something as in-depth as MCT. I have multiple videos on MCT if you're looking for grammar. I will post those down below. It's a great curriculum. It's very comprehensive. I'm going to dive into that again when he gets into high school. I don't think it needs to be drilled as much as deep as it goes for every single level for all of the end of elementary school and middle school into high school. That's just a lot. In searching for grammar, I guess I should hold that one up instead. In searching for grammar, I found Hearth Story, and I love what I see of her online. This looks phenomenal. It's a PDF option. Can I just say she's incredibly affordable? I only got bits and pieces. You can get full language arts bundles from her online as well. So I purchased grammar. She combines 7th and 8th grade. This looks really fun. I will do a flip through of this if you would like me to. If not, I'm also going to be posting, because she has a YouTube page as well, and I'm going to be posting that down below because she does flip throughs of her curriculum there. So really excited for this. When I was on there, I couldn't help myself. I had to purchase a couple more things. So I also got brain food from her. The reading resource that goes along with that is, I purchased it online. So I just have it on Apple Books for my kiddos to use for my son to use on the tablet. It's not bragging if it's true, How to Be Awesome at Life by Zayla Avantgarde. For writing this year, I have a friend who recently went to some training this summer from the Cersei Institute, and she is hosting a writing class for kind of like middle school, like junior high aged kids. And so I am sending my son to that this year. So that's where he's going to be doing all of his essay writing. If any of these other pieces ask for essays other than science, if science did ask for him to write an essay, I'm going to be having him do that final project. They're moving beyond the page. But if any of the other pieces ask him to write an essay, I'm not going to be doing that because the writing is a very in-depth program that asks him to write several different essays throughout the year. I will post a link down below so that you can look a little bit more into the program that he's going to be doing, but that's once a week at my friend's house. I drop him off. He's going to be there with other kiddos around the same age, learning the same things. I'm really excited for that for him. So now I'm going to move into, let me touch on math really fast before I do the literature and language arts. So for math, we are finishing up 6B of the Singapore Primary Mathematics, the US edition. After that, he's going to be ready for pre-algebra. So this was not really clear online, but I did wind up messaging Singapore on Instagram, and they got back to me and they told me where he should be, because if you're not familiar with Singapore math, there are a lot of different options, curriculum options that you can choose between them. We have loved and are using the US primary mathematics version. That's like the old school version, and that only goes through 6B. If you've heard of Singapore, you've probably heard of Dimensions. I'm pretty sure it goes through 8th, like has an 8th level. I don't know if that counts as 8th grade, but it goes through 8 something. So anyway, I messaged him just wondering. I had a feeling it was going to be either pre-algebra or algebra that he was going to be prepared for. They did say he was going to be ready for pre-algebra. For pre-algebra, we are using Denison Math. You've probably seen this everywhere, and there's a reason for it. Arlene from Arlene & Company, I will post her down below. She's a great follow, not just on YouTube, but also on Instagram. As far as years and years ago, when her oldest was ready for pre-algebra, she spoke about Denison Math, and it's been on my radar ever since that I will most likely be looking into that and using that when my kiddo is ready for pre-algebra. She has a great flip through breakdown video. We'll be purchasing that and using that when we finish up 6B from Singapore. Okay, a few years ago, I posted a video here on YouTube where I showed when my son was in 3rd grade, I chose from several different companies some different literature or reading guides or units to go along with different novels, because there are a lot out there and they're not all made the same. They don't all give the same kind of information or guide you through the book in the same sort of way. I will link that video up here. I'll also link it down below. That is a video that I still get a lot of communication about even to this day. And so if you are not wanting to just buy a box curriculum or curriculum from, one big company, if you're liking different books from different places, I'm doing that again. That's one video that you can watch. Again, it was about 3rd grade. So now I'm looking at junior high. What is he ready for junior high? What do I want him to be exposed to? And what am I wanting from a curriculum? So I have several options that we're going to be doing. First of all, we are reading, the very first one that I started out with was Tangerine. This is a story about a boy who has an older brother who is a star athlete. He moves to a new town. There's a lot of different dynamics going on, a lot of bullying things going on, tough conversations. I'm really liking this. I'm using it through novel units. If you did ever watch that other video of mine, this was like my very top one that I was really impressed with. I did purchase a couple books from them this year to use there. So this one, also from novel units, I purchased Surviving the Applewhites. This is about, he's essentially a foster care boy, and he winds up in a family of homeschoolers. So purchased this one also through novel units. Okay, novel units is a secular curriculum. So all of those, nothing comes from a faith-based aspect for novel units. The next two, I chose 2 different books through Progeny Press. Progeny Press is Christian. They will ask you questions based on a biblical point of view. They bring up the Bible, they bring up different verses in the Bible. These are the two books that I chose for my son. This is Manic Magee. This is about a homeless boy. It takes place decades ago. There's conversation revolving around racism here, classism, right and wrong, that sort of thing. I also got Treasure Island. So Maniac Magee and Treasure Island, I'm pretty sure these are in the same age bracket. You can purchase or look through things based off of age range. I'm pretty sure these are both 6th to 8th grade age range. So my son's a 7th grader. It's been really difficult. And I mentioned this in that other video too. I think I've mentioned this probably every single year in my curriculum videos, is that my son is academically advanced. And so meeting him with curriculum that is challenging for him is hard for me, in the sense that most of those things are above his age range, that like there's certain things that you learn and you come up into and you discover as a junior high aged kid. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready for the type of discussions that high school aged kids are. And so it has been difficult to find literature, to find it, like just not even school-based literature, but just reading for the fun of it, which my kid is an avid reader, literature. So anyway, I picked Treasure Island. Lots of reasons why I picked Treasure Island. This is a really fun book, and it's also about a young boy. So there's that. I chose 2 different reading guides from Hearth Story. One I picked that I think we're going to do next, because we're moving into fall, it's going to be cozy, is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. There is actual baking in this literature unit. I will link everything, is always going to be linked down below. This one looks really fun. So I chose this, and for one of the literature guides, this looks so much fun. My son he also loves fantasy. So when he saw that, the book in that stack, that lineup, he was pumped. So we're gonna do that one next. And then for a poetry unit, I went with Hearth Story's poetry unit. This is levels 7 through 8. Really excited. This curriculum is just, it's presented in a really different way than I've seen other curriculums done. So really impressed with what I'm seeing so far. Again, we haven't used it yet, so I can't give experience with it, but I'm really excited for it. All right, outside of sit-down school, my son is also, he plays the violin. He is in a homeschool orchestra organization, and there are many, many, many kids in there with many different levels. This is really cool for him to learn how to play in an ensemble sort of way. He's been taking solo violin lessons for several years. He's still going to be having his solo lessons also. And he is part of our youth group at our church. We have a pretty big church, a pretty involved youth group. And we also are, our family participates in a discipleship club, one that I'm actually a leader in for one of the age ranges for girls. And he's moving up into the junior high age range. We go to Awana. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with the Awana programs. Ours is pretty big. It's really cool. We often get together with different organizations from across the region and do things together. So pumped for that also. In the spring, he plays baseball, but over the summer, he started swimming some more, and he's been really interested in swimming. So I would not be surprised if swimming found its way into our day-to-day or into our life. Yeah, that's what my 7th grade son is going to be up to this year. If you guys have any questions, I know that was a lengthy video. I know I'm chatty. This is the way that it's always been, and every time I try to be different, it's just not. But if you made it through that whole video, thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate long videos. I watch other people with long videos that have a lot to say. All right, thank you guys for joining me on this video. If you guys have any questions about any of the curriculum that I mentioned, feel free to leave that down below. If you've used any of this curriculum, if you guys have read any of these books within your family and you guys have good opinions or bad opinions, I'd also love to have those conversations in the comment section down below too. That is so helpful for anybody else that is looking through curriculums and trying to make decisions for themselves and their family as well. Otherwise, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.